Defending is the hardest thing to master in eFootball. Whether it's knowing when to switch your cursor or when to throw in a slide tackle, it's always tricky. And the funny part? You'll never fully master it. There's always more to learn. So I went into ghost mode. I challenged myself to do only manual defending for 3 weeks. And bro, I conceded the dumbest goals you can imagine. But I kept grinding, and now I've got something solid for you. We're starting with the basics of defending, then moving into AI-assisted methods, where you'll learn how to let the game's AI work for you. And at the end, I'll share a personal battering story about my defending journey to complete this video. So let's kick it off with the basics of defending. Now, this might look nerdy, but what's zonal defending and also what's pressure defending? Zonal defending is a style of defending where the players cover the space, making it hard for the opponent to penetrate. You see this in low block defenses like Atletico Madrid, Brentford, and even Arsenal. Pressure defending, on the other hand, is when you mark the man on the ball so he doesn't have enough time or clarity to make a decision. This is normally used in high-pressing teams like Barcelona, Man City, and Bayern. So, how does this shit relate to eFootball? You see, zonal and pressure defending styles each have a different way of activating it in eFootball. The matchup button stands for zonal defending because it helps you cover the space where the ball is moving. Then the dash and pressure button stands for pressure defending because it marks the man holding the ball. Hope I'm making sense, but you shouldn't hold matchup all the time in the name of zonal defending because someone who's patient with passing will cook you. Also, you shouldn't hold the pressure button all the time either, because someone good with dribbling or body feints will destroy you. So that poses a question. How frequently should we use matchup or pressure? Well, it all depends on one thing: the team structure. Now, to start with, take clubs like Atletico Madrid. They press sometimes, but they don't always sit back and close the spaces. Or take Man City, for example. They press a lot, but there comes a time in the game when they sit back and block spaces. All this is because of their team structure or formation. Okay, let's use eFootball to explain. There are different formations in the game. Some are attacking in nature, some defensive, and some are balanced, good at both defending and attacking. Each of these needs to approach defending differently and carefully. For attacking formations, you have to be careful with pressing. One mistake and your whole formation is torn apart. Your defense line becomes wide open because the shape focuses more on attackers than defenders. If one player loses shape, it breaks the whole structure and you'll concede a lot of goals. In these situations, you should use the matchup button about 65% of the time, then dash and pressure 35%. Now, in defensive formations, you always have backups because of your defensive structure. You can press and still feel confident, but if you match up too much, you'll just be sitting back and smashing long balls all day. The ideal way here is 65% dash and pressure, 35% matchup. For balanced formations, you're smart enough to guess by now. 50-50. Correct.
Guess you're not as dumb as I thought.
Now, most people will say,
don't use 3 at the back.
Or,
use 2 defensive midfielders.
Or,
switch to this one particular formation.
But that's all vague advice. So here's my take. If your formation is attacking, match up more than you pressure, because one mistake and you're cooked. If it's defensive, pressure more. You've always got backup in defense. If it's balanced, do both equally depending on the situation. Now that you know how your formation affects how often you should use these 2 defending buttons, it's time to learn when and how to use the matchup and pressure buttons effectively. So, matchup versus dash and pressure? How do we actually do it? Matchup is simple. Just hold the button, then use your directional stick to guide your player into the space you want to block. Easy! But pressure is a bit more complicated. There are two ways to use it, with direction and without direction. Without direction, by just holding the pressure button, your player just charges straight at the ball. This is best when the opponent is directly in front of you. With direction, this is for when the opponent has already passed you. If you want to have the upper hand while chasing him, you hold the dash and pressure button and also use the directional stick to guide your player's movement towards your opponent. That way, you're not just sprinting brainlessly, you're locking him down. So remember, my Gs, matchup equals covering the space. Pressure equals chasing the player. Now, here's the extra hidden method I actually use when I'm zonal defending. This one combines both controls. Let me explain. Imagine you want to cover a potential passing lane, but your player is far away from that space. If you just use matchup, he'll jog there like he's on a holiday stroll, and by the time he arrives, the pass has already been played. What I usually do instead is hold the dash and pressure button, then guide my player with the stick toward the space. Once he gets there, I immediately switch to matchup. This way, I reach faster and still position myself to block effectively. I hope you're learning some shit, my G, because this trick right here, it separates noobs from killers. Now that we've mastered matchup and pressure controls, let's talk about some power-ups that actually boost your defending. These are the power-ups of defending, or let's just say the extras that make life easier. Let's start with shoulder barge. Now, this one is like a gentle side tackle. Basically, you're using your body contact to unbalance your opponent while he's on the ball. It's simple to perform. When you're chasing the ball and you're side by side with your opponent, but your defender still isn't winning it, just double tap the left direction button. Your player will give him a shoulder barge to reclaim the ball. It doesn't always work. You'll sometimes miss and look like a clown, but when you time it right, deadly. Now, onto the big one, slide tackle. This isn't just a power-up, bro. This one is a must. You need to learn how to slide tackle. Back then, I didn't use it much because it felt too risky and hard to pull off, but Konami improved it a lot. And now, slide tackle is actually better than before. So when should you use it? If your opponent is near you and holding the ball, tackle. If he tries a sharp touch or leaves space between himself and the ball, tackle. If he's right in front of you and progressing, tackle.
He's been taken down and the referee has pointed at the spot.
Okay, maybe don't do that one. You might get punished. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't mastered it yet. I'm not like those pros who time it perfectly, even from behind. I just started using it, so I'm still learning. But hey, if we keep practicing together, maybe next time we'll both be demons with it. So yeah, now that we've mastered the basics of defending, let's move to the simple side, the AI assistant. This is where you learn how to use eFootball's AI to help you defend smarter. The second man marker is when the AI helps you pressure your opponent while he's on the ball. The way you activate it is simple. While holding the pressure or matchup button, depending on what you're doing, just swipe the button up while still holding. Then the AI activates the nearest player to go and press the guy with the ball. You can use this for something like vegan pressing. While you're pressing the opponent yourself, you trigger second man pressure, so it becomes two of you closing in on the poor guy. Bam! You retrieve the ball quickly, but hold up, it's risky as hell. One skill move, one body feint, and boom. Both of you are smoked and the opponent now has space wide open. You're cooked. So the safest way to use this? While you're covering a potential passing lane, let the second man put pressure on the ball holder. That way, it's either he loses the ball to your AI, or he panics and makes a bad pass that you intercept. Solid tool, but don't get greedy with it. Now that we've cleared this, let's move to the next AI assist, the one that actually separates the noobs from the pros. This part is important because it literally decides who does the defending in your team. Do it right, and defending feels smoother than butter on hot bread. Do it wrong and boom, you're leaking cheap goals like tap water. So which one should you use? Auto, semi-auto, or manual? If you're a beginner or you just don't want stress in your life, stick with auto cursor change. The AI will switch players for you. But here's the catch. The AI only picks the nearest man to the ball, not the guy who's supposed to cover the dangerous space. So, if you face someone that's quick with passing, my bro, you're cooked. Now, semi-auto is what I recommend for most people. Why? Because the AI gives you about 1 second to pick who you want to control before it makes the decision. And trust me, that 1 second is gold. Your defense will hold shape better than auto, and you won't get torn open as easily. But here's the issue. Sometimes, after you pick who to mark,
The AI still says,
Nah, fam.
and switches to another player.
and that little mistake can lead straight to a goal. Still, semi-auto is my go-to recommendation. But if you want to go pro, if you want full control, then it's manual cursor change. This gives you total power over defending. No excuses, no AI babysitting. Yeah, it's harder, but it forces you to really learn how to switch properly. The best part? It keeps your players in position. Think about it. Have you noticed how hard it is to score when the opponent isn't even controlling the defenders? Feels like every pass gets intercepted automatically, right? That's because the AI holds positions perfectly. Goals only come easy when defenders are dragged out of shape. So, if you minimize how many players leave their zone, you minimize your risk of conceding. That's why many top players swear by manual defending. It keeps your line organized, makes your life easier, and turns you from a noob into a real pain in the ass to score against. Now that you understand how cursor change affects defending, let's get into the most controversial defensive technique in the game. Now, this part is actually very controversial on YouTube. Most YouTubers will simply tell you to switch off the auto offside trap button to keep yourself safe. But listen, it's actually there for a reason. If you master it, it's deadly. If you don't, well, you'll concede the cheapest goals in a football history. So, who should actually use the offside trap? Let's borrow from a real team who perfected the art. Barcelona 2024/25. When Barca pull an offside trap, 3 things happen. They have fewer defenders sitting deep. They press the opponent instead of just blocking space. And most importantly, they move forward in unison. Now to apply it in eFootball, you need to take care of 3 things. The play style must be attacking. What I mean is, the offside trap only works with a high defensive line, not a low block. So for you to use it properly, you should be playing either possession game or quick counter. These play styles naturally push your line high, squeezing the pitch to help the press. You must have fewer defenders. The offside trap works best when fewer players are responsible for moving up together. The more defenders, the harder it is to get that move in unison thing right. So it's best with a 3 at the back formation, or a 4 at the back with at least 1 attacking fullback pushing forward. You have to pressure. This is where a lot of you mess it up. On mobile, the AI will automatically push your defenders up for the trap, but instead of pressing the attacker, you just spam matchup to block passing lanes. Now, if you fail that block, GG, bro. You're eating one of the cheapest counter goals. So, when using offside trap, focus on pressure defending, not just holding matchup. Now, I know this might sound like a lot, and if it's too much for you, just switch the damn thing off. The offside trap is pure high risk, high reward. What I've given you is the blueprint to lower that risk. So now that we've settled that, let's move to the final AI assistant method. This one is simple, but very, very effective. Now, I won't go too deep here because my next video on formations will cover most of it. So, I'll just explain the defensive instructions and how you can actually use them. Let's speed this up. Tight marking. This simply means your team will put more pressure on the specific opponent you select. Pro tip, don't tight mark tactical play styles. Dummy runners, deep-lying forwards, or creative playmakers. Those guys never stay in their position. So, tight marking them just creates free space for others to cook you. Man marking. This is when you assign one player to a specific opponent instead of the whole team chasing. Much safer. Pro tip, it's best to tight mark fullbacks to wingers, but don't tight mark a center back to a striker. Use your DM instead. That way, your backline stays in shape. If you must man mark with a defender, make sure it's a destroyer or extra frontman. Build-up defenders are tactical. Leave them alone to guard the line. Counter target. This is when you excuse one player from defending so he saves stamina for attack only. Pro tip, if you're attacking through the middle, counter target your strikers. If you're attacking wide, counter target your wingers. Deep line. This means one of your attackers or midfielders sits deeper to help defend. Pro tip, if you're using two DMs, put the most defensive one on deep line. That gives you more security at the back while still stabilizing your midfield.
And that's it.
We're done. We've mastered both the basics and the AI assistant methods in defending. Now, let's wrap this up with a little backstory and end the video on a high note.
And Messi! Messi! From another planet! Late in the day!